Zach Miller. Zach Miller's injury is remembered as one of the most terrifying moments a tight end has ever experienced on an NFL field. What looked like a routine touchdown catch instantly turned into a medical emergency when his knee bent the wrong direction, creating a visual that stunned everyone watching. The damage was far worse than the broadcast initially showed because he not only tore multiple ligaments, but also shredded his popliteal artery, cutting off blood flow to his lower leg. Doctors rushed him into emergency surgery to save the limb, and for hours his future hung in the balance. Teammates later admitted they feared he might not make it through the night, let alone walk again. Somehow, Miller survived and kept his leg, but he never returned to the field. His story became bigger than football, reminding fans how suddenly everything can change. And what happened next on this list would leave viewers stunned for a completely different reason, because the next player was a superstar with expectations that felt almost impossible to meet. Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski's injuries never looked as gruesome as some of the others on this list, but the impact they had on his body was shocking. In 2014, he tore both his ACL and MCL in a single hit, and many fans questioned whether his physical style of play was finally catching up with him. That injury alone might have derailed a normal career, yet Gronk's medical history was far longer than one moment. He dealt with multiple back surgeries, a forearm break that required reinsertion of plates, repeated bruising, and a level of physical punishment that would have destroyed most players. What separated Gronk was how he kept coming back stronger than before, turning pain into motivation and helping the Patriots win another championship the very next season. Even later in his career, he played through injuries that would bench anyone else. Yet he still dominated whenever he lined up. His resilience made fans appreciate how rare his talent really was, but you will not believe how devastating the next injury became for a player who never got a second chance. Kevin Everett. Kevin Everett's injury remains one of the most frightening events in modern NFL history because it showed how fragile everything can be in a single collision. During a routine tackle on a kickoff in 2007, Everett's head collided awkwardly with a runner's shoulder, instantly fracturing and dislocating his cervical spine. The impact left him motionless on the turf, and medical personnel sprinted toward him as the stadium fell silent. Doctors later revealed he had sustained a severe spinal cord injury that could have left him permanently paralyzed. Emergency surgery stabilized his spine and prevented even greater damage. And for days, his life hovered in uncertainty while fans prayed for a miracle. The miracle arrived when Everett slowly regained movement, shocking doctors with progress many thought impossible. Although he never returned to football, his recovery inspired millions and proved how determination can overcome devastating circumstances. His battle showed the danger of the sport in a deeply human way, but the next injury on this list stunned viewers because it happened in an NFC championship game where the stakes could not have been higher. Tyler Eifert. Tyler Eifert's NFL journey should have been defined by Pro Bowls and highlight plays, but instead became overshadowed by one brutal setback after another. His most infamous injury came in 2018 when his ankle bent sideways under him during a routine tackle, creating a moment so disturbing even veteran players turned away. The dislocation fractured multiple bones and shredded ligaments, instantly ending his season and forcing a long road toward recovery. But that injury was only one chapter of Eifert's story, because he previously battled an array of setbacks, including a devastating elbow issue, multiple back surgeries, and repeated stingers that left him fighting for normal movement. Every time he appeared ready to reclaim his spot as one of the league's top tight ends, something new would go wrong. Fans loved his talent, but many wondered whether his body simply could not withstand the punishment. Eifert's perseverance earned him respect across the league, but his heartbreaking run of injuries made his career a constant what-if. And it gets worse, because the next player's injury not only ended a season, but nearly ended a respected veteran's entire playing future. Delanie Walker. Delanie Walker's injury in 2018 shocked fans because of how quickly a dependable veteran's career unraveled in one violent moment. Late in the Titans season opener, Walker caught a pass near the sideline and was tackled from behind while another defender rolled onto his lower leg. His ankle folded beneath him, creating a sickening twist that left him screaming in pain, as teammates immediately signaled for help. The medical report confirmed a complete dislocation paired with multiple fractures, requiring surgery and an extended recovery timeline. Before the injury, Walker was one of the league's most reliable tight ends, known for toughness, leadership, and late career dominance. Afterward, he struggled to regain mobility and explosiveness, proving how one play can reshape everything for a veteran already fighting the realities of age. Fans hoped for a miraculous comeback, but the injury marked the beginning of the end. And what happened next on this list would shock everyone in a completely different way, because the next tight end endured a medical history, unlike anything most players could imagine. Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed's injuries were not always visually disturbing, but the long-term consequences made them some of the most alarming among modern tight ends. His issue was not a single catastrophic event, but a frightening pattern of repeated severe concussions that altered his career and changed how the NFL approached head trauma. Reed suffered at least 7 documented concussions, and teammates described moments where he appeared disoriented even after mild contact. Specialists warned that continuing to play carried serious long-term risks, yet Reed kept fighting to return because his talent was undeniable. His route running, hands, and separation ability made him one of the most gifted tight ends of his era, but the damage accumulated over time. Eventually, symptoms became too severe to ignore, and his career faded under the weight of memory issues and neurological concerns. His story brought renewed attention to brain health and forced fans to confront the hidden dangers of the sport. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. What comes next is a totally different kind of painful story involving another player whose body paid the price: Chris Cooley. Chris Cooley's career took several unexpected turns, but nothing derailed it more dramatically than a combination of injuries that slowly tore down one of Washington's most beloved players. His first major setback came when he fractured his tibia, an injury that left him sidelined for months and forced him to rebuild strength from scratch. After returning, he faced another disturbing problem when he shattered a finger in practice so severely that it healed incorrectly and permanently affected his grip. Cooley tried to play through the pain and adjusted his style to compensate, but the repeated damage eventually eroded his consistency and limited his effectiveness in the passing game. Fans watched as a former Pro Bowler struggled with basic movements he once executed effortlessly, turning what should have been a long, productive career into a tough battle for stability. His decline was a reminder that not every injury makes headlines. Sometimes the slow accumulation of pain does the most damage. And as tough as his path became, the next tight end on this list faced his own series of setbacks at the very start of his career. Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry entered the league with sky-high expectations, but his early years were defined by injuries that stopped his momentum every time he seemed ready to break out. His most significant setback came in 2018 when he tore his ACL during off-season workouts, a devastating blow for a young player expected to become the Chargers' next star. The injury forced him to miss the entire regular season, delaying his development and keeping him from building on early flashes of brilliance. Even after returning, Henry battled recurring knee issues that limited his explosiveness, along with occasional soft tissue setbacks that made consistency difficult. Despite the challenges, he continued producing when healthy, showing why so many scouts believed he had all the tools to become elite. Fans often wondered what his career might look like if he had enjoyed a healthier start, because the glimpses he provided were good enough to keep everyone invested. But the next tight end on this list faced his own battles, and his injuries came long before modern sports medicine gave players the support they have today. Owen Daniels. Owen Daniels built a reputation as one of the NFL's most dependable tight ends, but his career took a dramatic turn after a series of injuries stripped away the athleticism that made him so effective. His biggest setback was a torn ACL that forced him to endure a grueling rehabilitation process, testing both his physical limits and his mental toughness. Daniels worked tirelessly to return, but soon after coming back, he suffered additional lower body injuries that repeatedly slowed his progress. Those nagging issues compounded over time, making it harder for him to maintain separation downfield or sustain his trademark route precision. Despite the setbacks, he remained productive, relying on intelligence and technique to compensate for diminished burst. Fans admired his resilience, but they also recognized how different his peak might have looked without the constant strain placed on his body. Daniel's story shows how quickly injuries can change a player's trajectory. And that brings us to the final tight end on this list, whose misfortune arrived at one of the worst possible moments for a player approaching a new career opportunity. Jermaine Gresham. Jermaine Gresham's injury story is not as visually shocking as some others, but the timing and severity had a massive impact on his career path. Just as he approached free agency and the chance to secure a major contract, Gresham suffered a ruptured Achilles that instantly changed everything. The injury robbed him of the explosiveness that made him a first-round pick, and recovery proved far more challenging than expected. Achilles tears are notorious for slowing players permanently, and Gresham struggled to regain the same power in his routes or acceleration out of breaks. Even when he returned to the field, his responsibilities shifted, and he transitioned from a featured receiver to a more limited role focused on blocking and short yardage plays. Fans felt for him because the injury arrived at the exact moment he needed to showcase his best abilities. It became a harsh lesson about how quickly fortunes shift in the NFL. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.